happening? Hey guys, welcome to Real Life with Real Moms. Our podcast is about inspiring and strengthening and just getting to know other women in St. George and actually all over the world. So today we're here with Amber. She's our first guest, and she's going to be sharing an amazingly touching story with us today. I don't know if I introduced myself yet, but I'm Dallas.
Hi, and I'm Lacey, and we're with Equity St. George. And
You're fine.
So just help us grow and support us by following us on all of our social media. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. You can check out our podcast on our website at reallifewithrealmoms.com. And you can just see what's coming up next.
Yeah, so show your support, help us grow. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So basically, we're just going to get right into it. So how was your guys' weekend?
Good.
Good? Yeah?
Good. Didn't do much.
That's like most weekends for me too. But actually my stepkids came into town on Friday from Southern California, and they got in at like midnight on Saturday, which, did you guys catch that double rainbow? There's a killer storm on Saturday. It didn't last long, but it was nice to have all the water come and hit us. Mm-hmm. But there was the most beautiful double rainbow I saw. It was really cool. Anyway, so got too excited about the double rainbow. Have you guys seen that video that's viral? The guy's like, yeah, he's like too excited about it. That's like me. So anyways, yeah. So the first thing we had to do, they got in at midnight. The next thing they wanted to do in the morning was, of course, go eat at the Creperie. That's our favorite place when we come here. It's best crepes. Have you guys been there?
I've been there.
Yeah. You've never been there? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's really good. And it's like a really cute little like hangout spot. So you should check it out. Then after that was my nervous laugh. So anyways, we went over to Moki Steps, which is a really cool hike off by Leeds. Oh. And it was so nice because the day before it rained, so there's so much water. And it was a super sunny day, and just getting out with the kids got like our endorphins pumping, and it just felt really good. So I really encourage everyone to get out, and we'll leave a link to the hike in the video. That way you can see it's a really cool hike. We'll post pictures too. So
also, it would be nice if you guys posted or left a comment below letting us know what you guys like to do with your children. Maybe go out and about, things that you guys like to do. Yeah,
awesome. We'd love to do an episode on something that you guys recommend. So leave us a comment, and we'll check that out. And
we were talking about doing the meetup.
Oh yeah, yeah. We want to get a meetup together with all kinds of families and everything from the St. George area, and doing like a barbecue at Tokerville Falls. Have you ever been there before?
I haven't.
So the tricky thing is that you do need 4-wheel drive to get there because it's like a really bumpy, rocky road. But once you get there, it's really cool. There's like a waterfall and a little swimming pool. So I thought, oh man, that would be so cool if we just brought a barbecue and some floaties and like just had everyone come meet up at the same day, play music and stuff. So check our website and everything for updates on that. And
true story.
Yes.
I tried to make it in my minivan.
You did?
2 years ago. I got up there and I saw the cliff, and there was this big long rock. So I got up the rock and realized I couldn't do it.
Oh yeah.
So then I had to flip around.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought I was gonna slide down. I had my kids in that thing.
Oh my gosh. Scary. Yeah, it's no joke. Like I push the limits on a lot of things. So when people say, "Oh, you need 4-wheel drive, it's a rough road," I'm like, how rough is it? But no, really, it's rough. You need 4-wheel drive on this one. Well, so without further ado, this is Amber, and tell us a little bit about your passion and how everything came to fruition for you.
So for me, I have a message of self-love and self-worth, and I've been spreading that throughout Southern Utah and nationally as well. 4 years ago, I was suicidal. I am a mother. I have 4 children. I have a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Wow.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
A lot of
It's all
parenting.
spread out. So.
But at this time, my littles were 6 months and 2. I was breastfeeding the 6-month-old, and the 2-year-old has autism. So she wouldn't sleep. She was up 6 to 9 times a night. She wouldn't let you hold her. She would scream and scream. She was in therapy every single day, and my then husband was deployed. So I was in Colorado. I had no family or friends around or anything, and these kids, and I was trying to be a mom, which is difficult on its own, but let alone
dad.
Now you're a single mom basically.
Yeah, it's super hard when you don't have any support, any friends, and you're really isolated. And so I had started seeing a counselor after the birth of my youngest daughter. I was having postpartum depression and anxiety, which is something we just don't talk enough about.
Agree, 100%. Yeah.
And so I was having pretty bad anxiety. I started seeing a counselor, but I was never honest with my counselor about what was really going on. I was so worried that
you'd be judged, or
you
feel shameful, and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I thought for sure that,
and that's something we put on ourselves. Yeah.
So I was seeing this counselor, and time started moving, and the depression spiral just kept going. And the momentum on that was really strong. It just kept going. And it culminated in a period where I started obsessing about this loaded gun that we had in the house. And I had never used a gun before, but we had a gun my then husband left for protection while he went away in case I needed it. And of course, he left it loaded because I wouldn't know how to put bullets in a gun. So
I don't.
I do. I'll teach you. No.
So I started thinking about this gun over and over and over again, and I started planning out where I would go. I started genuinely thinking that my kids would just be better off without me. That I was such a bad mother, which I wasn't. I was depressed. That somebody would come and take them and raise them, and they would have much better lives without me, and the world would be better off without me. I am a child of abuse myself, and I never learned to really love myself. I never learned that I had worth just by being alive. I really based everything on what other people thought about me. And so during this period, of course, I'm being really harsh on myself. I feel like everybody else is being really harsh on me, but nobody is. It's all in my head. So after 3 days about thinking about this gun over and over and over and over and over again, there was this window on a Sunday night that said, hey, reach out for help. And I thought, if I don't reach out for help, I will not do this. So I don't know how I made the decision to do it. I don't really remember all of the thinking that was involved, but I did. There was a woman that I knew, hey, could you just come over here? And she did. And she didn't judge me. And she didn't make me feel bad, and she didn't, cast any sort of ideas onto me or anything. She just showed up in my house, and when I answered the door, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And again, she didn't judge me. She just stood there and looked at me and said, "What can I do?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's this gun over there. Can you just go take the bullets out?" And instead of freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?"
Right.
She just walked over and took the bullets out of the gun, and then looked at me and took me by the hand and said, "Okay." We sat down on the couch. Now tell me what's really going on.
I'm like ready to cry right now.
Like all of it just coming out about how I am not a Pinterest mom, and I'm not good enough, and my kids deserve better than this, and I can't do this. It's too hard, and nobody's around, and what am I going to do? And all of this just came pouring out. And she sat there and she was like, I'm going to stay the night with you tonight, help with your kids, which was the first help I had gotten in ever with them. And so that next morning I got up, we went to the counselors, and I was finally honest with the counselor about where I was. But before I went to the counselor, when I got up that morning, I went in my bathroom and I was looking at myself in the mirror. And I don't know if you guys do this, but when you stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself and you look in your eyes, it's like you can see your soul almost, right? And this stuff changes all the time, right? We get older, we get wrinkles, we put on weight, we lose weight, our hair grows. This stuff changes, but our eyes always are the same. And I looked at myself and my eyes looked like they had hope in them, and there was this person in them, and I thought, how do I become that person? I want to be that person. And so there was a bar of soap.
Sorry, let me.
No, get your phone.
It's not my phone. It's like the computer. I don't know why that happens.
The computer. So there was a bar of soap laying there at the sink, and for some reason, again, I don't know where this came from. I attribute it to my higher self. I believe that we have like a higher self, and I grabbed this bar of soap and I wrote across my face on the mirror, "Step into your life." And I just put it down, looked at it, and thought, well, that's really dumb because I haven't brushed my teeth for 3 weeks. So step into your life seems like that's never going to happen for anybody. What could that possibly mean? And I just looked at it and I let it sit with me. And I let it sit with me for a couple weeks. And I would see it every time I would go into the bathroom. And by the end of that 2 weeks or so, I started to believe that, hey, you know what? I can step into my life. I can take a shower. And maybe that's just what stepping into my life looks like. Maybe it's not about being this idea over here of packed picnic lunches on this beautiful terrain and,
people like made you feel like you need to be just from watching other people's social media, even though we know everyone has struggles and it's not a perfect life. So
exactly. Well, and because I didn't have that foundation in myself of who I was and the value that I had just by being alive.
Yeah.
I was so easily led to believe that those pictures, that those ideas, that was how you had worth.
Mm-hmm.
That if I wasn't doing these things, or I wasn't the perfect size after having this baby 6 months earlier, or if my child was autistic and I was going to therapy every day and, all these things, that somehow I was less than other people, which just was not true.
Right.
So I kept looking at this in my mirror, and by the end of the 2 weeks, I believed it. And then I thought, well, that was interesting. What happens if I erase that off and write something else?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that. And I would write, I am whole exactly as I am. I love myself. Then it started morphing into things like, I can create the life I want.
Mm-hmm.
I can take steps to make my dreams a reality, and I would put those up there and I wouldn't believe them. I would see them and I would think like, oh, that doesn't feel right, because you say that and it doesn't feel right to you.
Right.
If you're not in that
mindset,
space, it feels like you're telling a lie to yourself. Right? But when you start saying it enough times, you start to believe it.
Yeah.
The momentum starts the other way. So what once was like, oh, I'm nothing, can't do anything, over the years became, hey, you know what? I'm pretty awesome just because I'm here and because I'm me, and I have so much to give the world, and I want to give it to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So flash forward 4 years or so, 3 years, and I started working here locally for the Dove Center, which is a nonprofit that serves domestic violence and sexual assault victims. And I had this idea about taking the tool that helped me so much and sharing it with the world, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that, and I wasn't quite sure how it would be received. And then when I was working for Dove Center, my job was going into schools and talking to our youth about healthy relationships, how to set boundaries for yourself, all very critical things that are super, super needed right now.
Yes, for sure.
But what I found was that at the end of these classes, I would ask our students to submit anonymous questions. And an overwhelming majority were about situations where they weren't feeling good enough. They were in relationships with other people and they were letting the other person decide their worth for them. A lot of that going on. A lot of questions about suicide and feeling suicidal, or their friends are feeling suicidal, or my boyfriend broke up with me and now I want to kill myself. And this foundation, the same foundation that I had never learned for myself, I was just seeing mirrored out everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I thought, how do I help with this? Because talking about healthy relationships is great, but unless you have that foundation of who you are,
you're going to allow people to continue to make you feel like you're not worth it.
Exactly. So the tool that helped me the most, I was in counseling and all of that was very helpful as well. But seeing positive language associated with myself, using language in a way to change the language I was using in my head was life-changing. So I created mirror decals that can go on mirrors, and I started approaching schools here about putting them up on the mirrors in the bathrooms here. So when students go in the bathroom, because a lot of times they go there for emotional solitude, right? Like bad things are going on at school or they're feeling bad and it's the only place they have to go to be alone. Hey, why not put up a message of hope? Why not put up, stay strong, your story isn't over yet. Yeah. Why not put up, I love myself? Why not put up these messages so when they see themselves, they get that same connection? And then I thought, why aren't we using the text line, like the National Crisis Text Line or the suicide hotlines? Why are we not giving people a resource when they go into the bathrooms? And from there, everything just has continued to grow. I started this last fall, like last October-ish, and I'm about 6 months in. I was able to leave Dove Center and focus on this full-time, which has been super fantastic. I started doing assemblies here locally with a gentleman by the name of Bear with Team Raw through the juvenile justice system here. And now decals are in over 50 schools nationally. I take 20% of everything and donate to schools who've lost a student to suicide so that their students get positive messages as well and a resource in front of them. 100% of all suicide resource decals go to that. And I'm just on this mission of, with all of the messaging that's going on around us and with all of the filters that we try to use to make ourselves look better, to feel like we belong, to feel like everything is okay. Hey, it's okay to be exactly you, because exactly you is exactly perfect.
Yeah, that just made me think. We did a live right before this. I'm like, which filter should I use? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we are okay.
Perfect. And we always say the most negative things in our head to ourselves. You imagine every single day, all day, the things that go on in your head.
Yeah.
To be able to go into a quiet place and just to read that those good things about yourself that you should believe is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Even if you're not like directly taking the message, every time they look at it, they're reading it, it's going into their brain, it's gonna start to change the way they think. And even like when you said about the suicidal, I mean, that's really hard to overcome, but just a message that there's hope changed your way of thinking. I mean, that wasn't the only thing, of course, but
it does. I call them planting seeds of hope.
Exactly.
And love. Yes. You plant enough seeds of hope and love inside yourself, a garden eventually is going to grow.
Yay!
And so plant those in the world, plant those with yourself, plant those with your family, plant those with your kids. Plant the message that you are loved, you are loved, you are perfect, you are whole. All these shoulds and woulds and coulds and need tos and have tos and all of this that we're trying to live up to, especially in today's world with social media, which
I know
able to reach people.
Yeah.
But there's a counter to that. The counter to that is that we've lost the ability to connect, especially our youth. We tell our feelings through emojis now. Yeah. We don't sit down and say, you really are having a hard time.
Yeah.
Like, I see you. And look in somebody's eyes and connect soul to soul. We haven't connected with our own soul a lot of the time. And so plant the seeds, work on that with your own kids, with yourself, and realize that you are awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you're incredibly awesome.
And not only do you have these negative voices in your head, but you have them with all the cyber bullying, and you're reading those comments, and people are more likely to put something negative than positive because they're hiding behind a screen, and people feel embarrassed to say you look pretty, or I don't like it would lower their worth by telling someone else that they're beautiful. Or
and also think about it. If I don't feel any worth for myself, if I'm not sure of who I am, if I'm not sure that I am intrinsically valuable, just by the mere miracle of even being born, right? Like, if I don't feel that I have any value, then I need to ascribe value to everybody else, because I have to judge everybody. I have to decide if you're better than me or worse than me, so that I know where I fit on the spectrum.
So sad.
But if I feel like I have value, then I can look at everybody else and say, they have value too.
Right.
You have the same value that I have,
Yeah. And that's a huge part of why Lacey and I started Real Life with Real Moms, so that it wasn't all like picture perfect. You're like, this is real. We mess up. We're goofy. We're silly. We're, whatever. We want to inspire other people to feel the same way, that you're not alone, and you know, whatever you're going through, we are happy to help, and we're stronger together. You know, there's no way I'd be doing this by myself. That's for sure. No, so
we were out and about, and we tried to approach women and ask them questions about their family, and there's no way we could have done it on our own.
Oh no!
We even said, I can't do this by myself.
I know. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not feeling it.
And then I'll just
you'll go for it. It's like we pick up on each other's strengths and weaknesses, so it's really great. Yeah.
So if we all get together, bring up these issues, and try to find good things to come out of it, you know, try to help other people.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah. Yep. So we're so glad that you were here, Amber, because your story is just phenomenal. It fits right in with what we're looking to do, and which just strengthen other people. That's build them up, you know.
There's enough negativity in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say it takes all of us together. That idea of competition.
I know, it's hard. Even for me, like when I see other people's, you know, social media, I'm like, oh, I hate them because they're better than me. You know, no, like
she's got perfect hair, and
we don't need to do that. Yeah.
No. It takes all of us together.
Yeah.
You know, recognizing our value and the value in each other to really have a beautiful world.
Yeah.
And you can create that, you know, and I'll admit I lived in that mindset of judging people as better than or worse than me because it came naturally because I didn't have any value in my head.
I don't know where that comes from, but it seems like maybe, especially with girls, I mean, guys have their own egos and their own things too, but with girls, like, start so young in like middle school, and it's not like, oh, are we better? I'm better than you at this sport or that. It's all about appearance. You know, so young, or I don't know. It's really hard. So I just wish there's a way we could change that. And I think, Amber, you're doing that. Yeah.
The way we change is we change it in ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's possible.
Yep.
That's the thing. It's possible. So even when I catch myself in my internal dialogue saying something that goes against how I feel now I'm much better at stopping it.
Yeah, you can pinpoint, okay, this is happening. That's not true. This is the real thing.
Exactly. Exactly. But it takes a long time, and I'm still not perfect at it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also part of the fun, right? The journey of life is the journey of life.
Yeah.
It's about growth. It's about being your best self and working to be your best self. And that doesn't mean all the shoulds and woulds and coulds to be your best self. That just means being curious about life and open to life. And look at you guys doing your podcast. This is your first one. And you guys didn't see this, but they were super nervous about this. And like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, no, this is beautiful. This is perfect. Because however it goes is going to be perfect. You guys are doing it. That's what life is about. It's do something that makes your heart happy. Do it. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to make you nervous, but you're going to grow from it. And your next podcast will be even better. And just keep going and going.
And we want to inspire anyone else that's thought about or wanted to start a podcast or YouTube channel. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Just go for it and grow. And
just do it.
Yep. Experiment. And
what we got together a week ago, and we decided to do all
like 2 weeks now, almost.
Yeah, you're right. 2 weeks ago. And here we're doing our first podcast and our YouTube. And
yeah. Just find something that you're passionate about and put your mind to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can do it.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for listening in. It was so much fun having Amber here. And
is there anything else you wanted to share with us, Amber?
I just wanted to share my company is See Your Strength. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, See Your Strength. You can find me on Twitter, See Your Strength. You can find me on my website, seeyourstrength.com. I'm very open and love to have comments and feedback and emails, and I appreciate everybody.
We'll put all of her links down below.
Yep, we will.
From the YouTube.
Yep. And so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be updated anytime we have a new video, and check out our website so you can stay up to date on everything we got going on. And if you'd love to be a guest, we'd love to have you. So message us, comment, email. We'd love to have you. Next week we have the founder of the Blue Butterfly House coming. Yeah. So that is a very special project that's been in the works for a couple years, and you won't want to miss her story. So that'll be next week. And thanks for listening.
That's it.
I think, wait, there's one thing.
One more, go.
Awkward high five.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Tyler. Good job, you guys.
That was fun. Okay, we're stopping now. Yeah, and it showed 25 minutes, so that's like perfect time. Not too long.
You guys said awesome.
You're sweating?
Got your nervous sweat. I'm always like, and it stinks worse than regular.
You know? Sweat does.
I have to put my deodorant in my purse.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, I just don't do it.
I don't sweat. Even when I'm working out, like I really don't sweat that much. I probably need to drink more water, that's why. But yeah, coffee and tea.
Much water because I'm nursing.
Yep.
I got here and I had to go pee.
I don't know why this isn't going on live right now. We should be talking about this, like our outtakes, talking about peeing.
So my phone turned off. Let's see how much it recorded.
Oh,
my mom. You missed a call from Tina.
Oh, Dad, I just want to see if my message is like a message. Good job, you guys.